motion number 69.
Thanks, delegates. I want to oppose this motion. I feel very strongly that voting in elections is about the power of one-to-one persuasion, and there's a communication that takes place between candidates and the voter, and that principle is fundamental to proportional representation and to our system in general elections of PRS-TV. And I don't think it should be interfered with, and I don't think that we should, in how we organise elections, we should try and organise the outcome. We should trust the voters. And just to talk about, we used to have a gender quota that operated in a particular way for NEC elections. And I know that many people came down here to conferences and they didn't vote for women because of the gender quota, because they presumed they were okay because of the gender quota. And therefore they looked for which man, and I did it myself, which man would I like to support because the women were okay. I mean, I think everybody accepted that and that happened. And when we discussed the 21st Century Commission document, which I was on the committee for that, there was a proposal that we'd come up with a new panel system, and I didn't agree with it, but it was a compromise document and we went along with it. And now we have two panels. We have men and women separated as if like men's tennis and women's tennis, and it's just not right. I would say that when the Central Council was proposed, I was delighted. For the first time, Dublin Midwest would be able to get someone onto the Central Council. We never had enough votes to get someone onto the executive election, and of course with the new system that would be very difficult indeed. And this means that there's, every constituency gets to appoint somebody to the Central Council. It's a new power for constituency councils, and I think constituency councils should be left now to pick their own representative, and it shouldn't be interfered with in any way. And I just want to say as well, Labour does not have a policy of gender quota in relation to general election candidates. We do not have a gender quota for general election candidates, and we didn't have it either for locals. It was in principle, but it was frequently waived if needed to be. And the thing about it is we have a third of women TDs without any gender quota. And there's good role models in the Labour Party, and we've lots of women involved. And if you want to get more women involved, women are not, choosing not to put their names forward for election because they're downtrodden. They're doing it because of other reasons. There's cultural reasons there, and what you do is you do as much as possible to encourage women to put forward their names for elections, but you don't do it by engineering an outcome. I think it would be terrible to interfere. Like, would some constituencies, would the gender quota be imposed for some constituencies or not, and not another? It would be really difficult to implement this motion. So I would urge delegates to refer it back, maybe for looking at other things we can do to encourage women to get involved in the party and to put their names forward for election. But I actually think that this, treats women in a discriminatory way. It means that women get on not because of their merits, but because seats are set aside for them. And I think Labour needs to move away from that, because that's not how we elected Joan Burton as leader. It's our deputy leader, and it's not how we elected our women TDs. Thank you.
Before I call on the General Secretary to respond to the debate, there was a delegate that indicated he wanted to speak to motion 63. The General Secretary asked him to give us a slip with his name on it. That hasn't come, so I take it he's left and doesn't wish to speak at this stage. The General Secretary to respond to the debate.
Delegates, I go through this very